We begin with something that hasn't happened here in years: deportation flights from Germany to Afghanistan. On Friday, Germany resumed deporting rejected asylum seekers to Afghanistan for the first time since the Taliban retook power back in 2021. A flight with convicted Afghan offenders took off bound for Kabul. The renewed deportations come as the German government faces pressure to crack down on migration after a fatal knife rampage last week, allegedly carried out by a man who should have been deported.
This was the scene at Leipzig airport just before dawn. Security officials preparing the first deportation flight from Germany to Afghanistan in 3 years. On board were 28 convicted criminals denied permission to remain in Germany. Such flights have been near impossible to arrange since Germany broke off diplomatic relations with Afghanistan after the Taliban violently seized power in Kabul in August 2021.
I had announced that we would also deport offenders back to Afghanistan. We have prepared this carefully without talking about it too much, because such plans only succeed if you make an effort, if you do it carefully and very discreetly. That was carried out today. I would therefore like to thank everyone who helped to make this happen. And it is a clear sign that anyone who commits criminal offences cannot count on us not deporting them, but that we will look for ways to do so, as you can see from this case.
The German government said the deal was not negotiated directly with the Taliban and instead with the help of what they called key regional partners. But they concede that they are also in direct contact with the Taliban.
Our position as the German government is very clear. As long as the general conditions are as they are and the Taliban behave the way they do, there will be no effort to normalize relations with the Taliban. There are contacts on a technical level, especially through our representative office in Doha.
This marks a big change in Germany's approach. The German government has been under pressure to step up deportations of rejected asylum seekers, especially anyone with a violent past. Pressure that's intensified since 3 people were fatally stabbed in Solingen last week. The main suspect was a 26-year-old Syrian asylum seeker who was supposed to be deported. We are continuing to work at full speed to once again enable the return of dangerous persons and serious offenders to Afghanistan and Syria. We will also work together with representatives of the federal states and the biggest opposition party and meet next week to discuss possible further measures. Friday's flight to Kabul was the first in 3 years, and if the German government has its way, it likely won't be the last.
Well, for more now, I want to bring in DW security correspondent Thomas Sparrow. Thomas, good to see you. Let's talk first about the timing here. The German government resuming deportations right after a fatal knife attack. This isn't a coincidence, is it?
The timing is certainly very important here because it comes at a time when many people in Germany, when all political parties are specifically discussing the issue of deportations, especially deportations of failed asylum seekers and especially deportations of failed asylum seekers from countries like Syria and Afghanistan. And this is the result specifically of the attack in Solingen a few days ago. But it's important to stress that this is probably not a direct result from what happened in Solingen. These kinds of deportation flights are planned with a lot of time in advance, not only because of all the logistics involved here in Germany, also the negotiations that take place in this particular case between Germany and some of the countries in the region where Afghanistan is located. The German government does not recognize the Taliban government, but it has admitted that it had contacts at a technical level, specifically through an office in Doha. So basically what this gives us an impression is that, yes, the timing is obviously relevant, but it's not a direct connection, or at least a direct result from what happened in Solingen. It's something that's been planned now for quite some time.
So why were the deportations stopped in 2021 and then allowed to continue now?
They stopped after the Taliban took power, and they have now resumed. And this has to do with a series, or at least several, security incidents in recent months that have been linked to failed asylum seekers from these countries that we're talking about. And as a result, the German government decided that it was important to restart these deportation flights. The thinking behind that is that Germany's national security outweighs the claim for protection for failed asylum seekers, specifically those who have committed offences, have committed crimes. In fact, the 28 Afghans that were deported now, they're all convicted criminals. They're all Afghan nationals, all with an order for deportation. So the thinking that the German government has indicated is that national security outweighs the claim for protection in these specific cases.
All right, so we've got the deportations resuming this Friday, and just in 2 days, we've got important regional elections here in Germany. Do you see a connection between the deportations and these upcoming elections?
Probably an indirect one, and it has to do with the political debate. Once again, the political debate around migration, about asylum in general, about deportations. That is a debate that, for example, has been particularly important for the far-right Alternative for Germany party, which is leading in the polls in the two regions that are going to vote this Sunday. So the big question here in Germany is to what extent this debate, these decisions are actually going to impact what is going to happen on Sunday in the two German regions in the east.
And Thomas, do you think that we are about to witness deportations from Germany on a wider scale than we've seen in the past?
The German government certainly intends to continue with these deportation flights, but there are many concerns from a political level, from a legal perspective as well. And there are obviously human rights concerns that are particularly important here. Human rights organizations have criticized these deportation flights, saying that Afghanistan is not a safe country for people to return to. And in fact, several politicians here in the country have also voiced their skepticism. So even though the government does want to continue with these flights, it is going to be a difficult process from a political perspective, from a legal perspective as well, and from a human rights perspective. These three elements are very important now when it comes to the political discussion around these deportation flights.
Our security correspondent, Thomas Sparrow, with the latest here in Berlin. Thomas, as always, thank you.